Welcome, Lauren Coffey.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, tell me a little bit about your journey as a journalist and why are you covering the development of the tech ecosystem and entrepreneurship in Tampa Bay?
Yeah. It wasn't super traditional to get here. I covered crime in the Sarasota area for 2 years. Yeah. That's everyone's reaction. It definitely had an endpoint, but Tampa was always my end game. I just liked the size of it. It was kind of close-ish, and the Business Journal just took a chance on me. I never had covered tech before. I'd never heard what a Series A was or a VC firm, and I just learned on the spot. But I love it. I love covering people's, journeys through startups and their trials and successes, and just great.
Any insights you want to share about this journey, interviewing great entrepreneurs or just the tech companies that you've been talking to in the area?
I'm just always amazed at the resilience founders have. I always joke with them, I could never do what you're doing. I don't want to be my own boss. I know it's unpopular. They get so many no's for just one yes. And so to be able to cover that and just see kind of the resilience they have is just really inspiring to me. And it makes fun stories.
Fun stories, but there's a lot of pressure behind that. And I was talking about mental wellness yesterday with entrepreneurs, and it's so important because they have to achieve that vision, right? But at the end of the day, how do you keep your well-being as an entrepreneur? So I don't know if in your career and in your journey, have you seen any trends now for the well-being space with entrepreneurship? Have you ever spoken about that with any of the entrepreneurs you've interviewed?
Yeah, a lot of people will talk to me about it off the record, meaning they don't want to be quoted on it. Yeah, I think it's just one of those things people still see it as them complaining when really it's important to talk about. I mean, when you're a founder, you're in a silo and you don't have anyone else around you really who can kind of understand the journey you're going through. And so I think people are just starting to talk about it a little bit more, especially panels like yours. I think it's so important. There have been startups that have been founded now in the wellness space because people have been talking about it. We have Cope Notes in Tampa that's shooting to the moon, and they send out text messages daily, sending encouragement and just kind of doing that little positive nudge. So I think you're going to see more stuff in the wellness space, even geared toward founders now.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm excited about that, actually, personally. And talking about silos and the entrepreneurs, at least in Miami, 10 years ago, entrepreneurs were completely siloed. They were not connected. There was not a real entrepreneurial ecosystem. Are you seeing the same in Tampa Bay? Are they less siloed now?
Oh, yeah. I haven't been covering this for 10 years, so I can't. The last 5 years I can talk about, but even that, there's just so many resources now. The Tampa Bay Wave, like you mentioned, is a great one. Embark Collective does great work. There's just so many. Tampa Bay Innovation Center. So I think having these places people can just go and even use as a co-working space to see other people doing the grind that they're doing too, I think really just helps the whole system, honestly.
I visited Embark Collective when I was up in Tampa for Synapse. I was very impressed with the space.
Oh, yeah,
and that it's so important, we talk about community, right? The importance of community. Are you seeing that growth in the community in Tampa amongst the entrepreneurs and investors? How is that vibrant energy moving in the city?
Yeah, no, it's definitely happening. I think we're a little quieter than Miami, and so people don't realize all that's going on there, but no, there's plenty of happening. Embark's a great example of that, and you have firms like the Tampa Bay Ventures that solely fund Tampa Bay companies, which I think is really amazing. And you just have a lot now that are and people have been moving here, left and right. It hasn't slowed down since the pandemic. I don't think it's going to slow down.
Yes, that's very
And same
true.
with Miami. It's just, we haven't had a chance to really blink, but I think it's a great thing that's happening.
And in your opinion, what do you think is the most interesting factor of startups being attracted to Florida?
The weather obviously really helps. The no taxes really helps, especially when you're a struggling entrepreneur. I think that's really tough to beat. But I think also, it's so cheesy, but the community, I think they come here and they think okay, we're gonna have beautiful beaches, beautiful weather, whatever. But then they get here and people are genuinely interested in my success. And at least, from what I've seen the very short time I've been in Miami, that's how it is. In Tampa, that's definitely how it is. Everyone wants you to succeed. So I think that's been really just attractive for people.
Yeah. And are you seeing more tech founders moving here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. People from New York and Silicon Valley, and it's not people who are just super early stage. It's ones that have been in New York or been in Silicon Valley for 20 years and said, we just wanted something different, wanted a change of life and style, and they love it now. So it's been really cool to see.
And they move with their families, and they still manage their companies from Tampa, but most of their employees still being remote, right? Some of them in New York, but that's the beauty now, that you can live in a beautiful state like Florida, but still manage your company remotely.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's just only going to increase when people are used to remote work. Now people don't want to uproot their lives if they don't want to, move somewhere they don't want to be.
Any insights you want to share with our audience today of what you've been covering the last 5 years? So much to unpack.
I know. I'm like, how do I think,
anything that has stuck in your head?
I think just don't sleep on Tampa, honestly, which it's not the most verbose way to say it, but just pay attention to Tampa, pay attention to Florida as a whole. I think it's easy to think that, it's a flash in the pan when I don't think that's true. I think a lot of people are moving here. They're going to continue. Lots of deals are happening, and I think the rest of the nation's taking notice of Florida. I think it's just only going to increase.
And what do you see for that future landscape? What do you foresee it being like?
Ultimately, I think different cities will be different.
Their own
identities, yeah. Focuses on different industries. Obviously, crypto's huge in Miami. Tampa has a really big cybersecurity focus. And I think it's just going to continue to build your own industries and also supporting one another. Where I haven't heard any competition between Miami and Tampa. It's always like, how can we help each other?
Exactly.
Sunshine State turns into startup state. You hear that a lot. And so I think just continuing to rise across the board.
We have to work collaboratively. Why compete? There's space for everyone. And the more people that move here, the more we need to welcome them and integrate them into our community, right? And then we'll strengthen Florida as a state. So for my last question, what role do you think local business journalism will play in the shaping these narratives?
We definitely don't want to shape any narrative. That's not our job. It's more just telling the story. I think it's so important, and I think, in addition to companies telling their own stories, it's my job to tell them as well and say, like, hey, there's this cool company doing this thing. You should pay attention to them. And I think even just the last 5 years, it's been really transformative being able to have someone shine a light on all they're doing. So I'm very thankful to be doing that job, and I hope I get to do it for a long time.
Of course, we need you. We need people like you covering this, right? And what do you think about, because right now there's so much going on social media, people just can grab their phones and they have a voice, right? But that doesn't mean that the news that they're are putting out there is really good. So you still need to do the research, and good journalism is still needed. Do you have an opinion about that?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Not everyone has that opinion, but I think people generally know the importance of news, and we're different than the bloggers you see on Twitter or whatever, just throwing some link up there. I don't know. I think we'll continue to evolve just as a startup evolves, and I hope to be around for a long time to come.
Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, it was
so
my
nice.
pleasure to talk to you, and we're here for you. Endeavor loves you, and if you ever need to come back to Miami, interview any Tampa, hopefully more Tampa entrepreneurs coming to visit Endeavor in the next couple of years, and we can go up there through we have someone working in Endeavor living in Tampa. She absolutely loves the city.
Good.
And her job will be to start supporting tech companies in Tampa through Endeavor. So we'll be touching base soon.
Oh yeah, we'll keep in touch for sure.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Oh.